and Encouragement Ministries. All right. Those are my sponsors. And if I missed any, oh, and WMS Tax Service. So if I missed anybody in there, just charge it to my head because I'm doing this from memory. From memory, I just did that, right? So if I missed anybody, I don't have my paper in front of me, right? I don't have anything in front of me. I'm just doing this from memory. And so I want to send a big shout out also. I'm going to do this. Big shout out to my winners. My winners. We've had several winners, and I want to send a shout out to them. Sister Rose Walker, Sister Janelle, Sister Elsie. Thank you so much. Sister Audrey Lewis, also um, Miss Irma. Thank you so much for tuning in and for listening and for being one of our winners. Miss Priscilla, Mr. Wilfred Guillory, thank you so much. Margaret Johnson, thank you. Sister Juanita, thank you. Sister Dolores, thank you. And congratulations to all you. And then Miss Janelle, thank you so much. Sister Beatrice, Sister Mary, and uh, my very first winner, I think, on the giveaway that we had. Maybe she was our first winner. Either way, Miss Deidre. Miss Deidre. All right, those are all my winners that I have listed here. And so I want to say a big shout out to all of my winners for, I mean, you guys were persistent, you were consistent, and y'all stuck it through, and y'all won some wonderful prizes, some wonderful prizes. And so to all of you, let me say congratulations and Merry Christmas to everybody who is under the sound of my voice. Now, if I missed any of the names of my sponsors, I mean, not my sponsors, my winners, it was not intentional. I went with what I had written down, and if I didn't write your name down, um, then I apologize. But I know you got your gift because I only have a few gifts here, and I'm waiting on those to come get theirs. But with all that having been said, friends, it's time for us to go ahead and get into our word of encouragement. And, we are preparing to go into the Christmas day, right? We already are in Christmas season, but we're preparing for Christmas Day. But in the midst of us preparing for Christmas Day, the Lord has given me a word, and I don't want to neglect the word to go over the Christmas story, um, just so that we can have said that we went over the Christmas story. What I believe is more important than recanting or re-going over the Christmas story is us talking about what it is that God is trying to do in your life. And I have been sharing with you all that 2024 is the year. Uh, a matter of fact, I mean, it's the year of completion, but I want to say it this way today. 2024 is the year of it's going to happen, all right? Or the year of it happening. Yeah, it's however you want to say it, however you want to do it. It's going to happen. It is happening. The happening is happening in 2024. What do I mean by that? 2023, I've shared with you all was the year of vision, right? And all this year we've talked about vision and God giving us a vision for our lives, God increasing and enhancing our vision and allowing us to see clearly and to get past a lot of these issues and things that we had going on as to where we weren't able to understand and decipher and to see spiritually what was happening and what was going on. For some of you, I told you that God would give you dreams and visions and things this year like never before, and that you would begin to see and understand and know and all that, right? All right. Well, for some of us, God gave us a vision of what He wants to do in our lives, where He wants to take us, the things that He wants to do. And right now, we are in the midst of transitioning. All right, we're transitioning. We're getting ready to go from vision to fruition. Right, we're getting ready to go from vision into it's happening. We're getting ready to go from just seeing about it, praying about it, thinking about it, to putting our hands to it, to working the dream, working the vision, working that thing, and seeing it happen for us. Yeah. That's what we're about to move into. Well, with such being the case, there are some things that we need to correct, all right? And the Lord has been dealing with us almost a month now on correcting those things. And it started with correcting our attitude. It went with unforgiveness and dealing with unforgiveness and making sure we forgive folks. From there, it went into dealing with our perspective, all right, and how we look at things and how we see things, and recognizing and realizing that even in the forest, God is covering and protecting us. I know we can't see the forest for all the trees sometimes, but even in the midst of that, He's covering and protecting us. He's perfecting us. Even with the children of Israel, a journey that should have taken them rightfully just a couple of days took them, so many years simply because God had to perfect them. God had to weed some of, some weeds out of there and all that. And it was not until everything was right, the time was right, everything was right, that he finally said, "All right, now you can enter into the promised land." And so, with all those things having been said, and with all those things having been done, that is kind of how we have gotten to the point and to the place to where the perspective now had to be corrected. All right. Then after your perspective was corrected, the next thing that God began to work on was He worked on. Okay. Um, all right. Y'all hold 1 second. I'm gonna come right back to y'all. Hold on. All right, friends. Sorry about that. We are back. We are back. Now we're gonna go ahead and jump right back into this word of encouragement. Now, as we're talking about. All right. So God has been challenging us, or He challenged us on our perspective, right? And then after He dealt with our perspective, we then had to deal with humility. We had to then deal with not being distracted, and all those different things. And if you missed any of those, they are available on Facebook. You can go to my Facebook page, James W. Chavis. Go to this station's Facebook page, 93.5 KPPM, your community-minded station. And when you get there, you'll be able to see, hear, and watch all of those different videos. They're all there on Facebook. They're also on my Instagram page, James W. Chavis. All right. And then they're also on YouTube with I Am Encouraged TV. Okay, again, I Am Encouraged TV. Okay, so that's how you can find that, or how you can tune into that. Now, let's go a step further. And the last thing that God has been dealing with me on, and dealing, I think, with you on through me, is with our belief. There are so many of us that have seen visions. God has given us dreams and visions for this next year, for the next phase of our life, and we have been just in denial. We have not been believing or thinking that it should, could, would happen for us. And I want you to know and understand that it can, it will. It doesn't matter your age. And I took you to Luke chapter number 1 on Monday. We were in Luke chapter number 1. And as we were in Luke chapter number 1, I begin to share with you all, or begin to tell you all about how Zacharias, right? God had given him a word and showed him a vision of what was to come, being that he would have a son and his name shall be John, and all the things that John would be and do. And Zacharias, he did not believe. He had a moment where he doubted, and he asked the angel Gabriel, "How shall these things be? This, that, and the other, because I am old." And then Zacharias, the angel, rather Gabriel, said to Zacharias, he said, "Since you don't believe," right? The angel, being sent by God, was able to discern Zacharias's heart, right? Was able to discern Zacharias and all that he had going on. And so, what he did was he said, "Since you do not believe, since you don't believe, then you will be mute. You will be mute from this point on." Right? Yeah, you're gonna be mute. You're gonna be mute. And so Zacharias had to be mute throughout the pregnancy, and it was not until these things were to come to pass, or had come to pass, that the angel or the hand of the Lord would be lifted, and that that Zacharias would no longer be mute. And so Zacharias then found himself in a position, in a place where he had to be mute, right? And it was all because of his faith. Now, here's the thing about it. It did happen for him, right? It did come through, or, he did end up receiving his child. And God wants to bless so many of us and wants to do for so many of us, but we have to make sure that we have faith enough to believe, that we have faith enough to stand firm in faith and say, "All right, God, you showed me this vision. And I know that, I may be in advanced age, or I know I may have had a criminal record. I know I may not have the highest level of education, but I just believe that you are able to do it for me." And friends, listen, somebody asked me one day, they said, "How is it that you have so much faith? How is it that you can believe that these things would happen, when it doesn't seem like it ought to happen?" And I tell them, I grew up under a man by the name of Cleveland Nash, who could not read. But Cleveland Nash, even though he could not read, built his own houses with his own hands, and one of the houses that he built still stands to this day right there on the corner of Shattuck and Woodring. It needs a little bit of work because of other stuff, but it is still standing. Hurricanes couldn't knock it down, and none of that. No, 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 no. It took a car driving into the middle of it to put some real damage onto that house, and the hurricanes just took a few shingles off. But let me tell you that because I saw a man who couldn't read, and whose his motto, this is what my grandfather used to say: "If you can trust God in one thing, then just trust Him for all." Because I grew up under that, then I just believe that God is able to do anything. God is able to do everything that I can ask, think, or even imagine, right? And even go exceedingly above and beyond all of that. And so I just trust God, and I want to encourage you. Whatever it is that God has been speaking to you, whatever it is He's been showing you, whatever it is that God says He wants to do in your life, I want to encourage each and every one of you as we transition into this new year. Just have faith. Just begin to believe that it is possible that that thing can happen for you, and that even when the odds are stacked against you, even when the bank denies you, and the you know uh, know that God is able to do it. God is able to do it. God is able to do it. And I want to encourage somebody under the sound of my voice on today. We can continue to read and look at the rest of Zacharias' story. We can continue to read and look at, the story even going further than that into Mary and Joseph and all that, and how Joseph, once he was warned by an angel, he decided not to put his bride away privately, but he decided to continue to marry her, and he walked in faith, right? I could continue to tell you about how the whole totality of what God was able to do in the midst of those individuals all started with them having the faith enough to believe. But I think it's more important that you begin to know and understand and get down in your spirit that God wants to do something great for you. But it takes you believing, it takes you having faith and recognizing that nobody can do the things in your life that you're looking for God to do but God. And if you will just trust Him, He'll come through for you. If you can just trust Him, even when you can't see it, even when you can't feel it, just trust Him. Know that God will come through for you. Friends, let me play this song for you just to encourage your heart and your spirit on today. It's by Dorinda Clark Cole, and it's simply entitled Nobody But God, right here on I Am Encouraged Radio on 93.5 KPPM.